Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Today is January 22nd, and in the headlines is news about Yemen's government folding, their cabinet resigns, and their prime minister steps down. What's curious about this is for months, the headlines about Yemen have been building terrorist attacks, militant rebels. When Yemen really got on the spotlight for me, though, was I guess it was last year. It was the beginning of 2014. And to be exact, it was February 2nd, 2014. And to be even more exact, the events that happened at that day corresponded directly with the kickoff time of the Super Bowl, which was also on February 2nd, the 33rd day of the year. Last year, on that date, as the Super Bowl was kicking off, there was a mass bombing campaign that happened in Yemen. It hit the former president's house. It hit Yemen's Ministry of Defense. That's like the Pentagon in the United States. Remember, that was attacked on September 11th. And its central bank, so its Federal Reserve. Imagine if in the United States, the Federal Reserve, Pentagon, and George W. Bush's house blew up corresponding with the kickoff of the Super Bowl. Would you think that was strange? Well, if it happens in Yemen, it's really just as strange. And making matters more strange, here's Yemen's former president's house who blew up, shaking Dick Cheney. The name Cheney has a gematria of 33. This man was president of Yemen for 33 years before stepping down February 21st, 2012. So what's the point? The point is that Yemen is just part of what's going on in terms of this New World Order agenda. If you're not familiar with Yemen, it's this country here in the Middle East, and look at what a strategic position it is. It borders the water and the main inlet between the Middle East and Africa here. So, very strategic piece. Imagine you're a New World Order agenda building your world agenda. You probably want more of a stranglehold on this right here. This is key territory. And it seems like that's exactly what's going on. In the same way that, events here shape the direction our country goes in, the same is true in Yemen. Think about what's happened in the United States since September 11th attack. We've had major changes in domestic policy, spending, culture. We're spending way more money on military and war. They do the same thing in Yemen that they do to us in the United States. On the 33rd day of the year last year, Yemen had a mass bombing against its country, and the rest of the year has been filled with violence, more terrorist attacks, and now, here coming to a climax, not quite a full year later since that mass bombing, the anniversary of that'll be February 2nd, 2015, the day after the Super Bowl this year. But not quite a year later, here's the government stepping down. I mean, is it really that hard to see what's going on? I wanted to point out that Yemen in Pythagorean gematria sums to 26 like the word God, and with simple English gematria sums to 62 like the word Mason. The Middle East, if you're not aware, was carved up after World War II. The 22 nations were put into something called the Arab League, which was established March 22nd. I want to watch a Muammar Gadaffi speech, the former leader of Lebanon. We'll get to him in just a moment. But the date it was established is like Yale's Skull and Bones. The Middle East Arab League of Nations, March 22nd, 322. I mean, is it hard to see who was behind that? Here in this country, all we're taught about in World War II is that a bunch of Jews died, Hitler was a bad man, and the USA were a bunch of superheroes who saved the day, That we get like a whole 15 years of schooling with that same propaganda, with no depth, with no connection to World War I, with no knowledge of what happened to the rest of the world after World War II, totally neglectful of what happened between Japan and China. It's just sick when you look at it. I mean, they keep us in these classrooms teaching us nothing for our whole lives, filling our head with lies and bullshit. And meanwhile, all the truth is just swept under the rug. And if anyone dare bring it up, shame on them. And I learned that as an 8th grader. That's another post, though. But yeah, let's just watch this speech. This is from the Arab League of Nations. You can see what it looks like. As we watch this speech, I want you to notice how it goes from Gadaffi to al-Assad, the leader of Syria right now. And Syria's been a major focus in the Middle East. Remember, we almost went to war with them about a year and a half ago, and then all of a sudden we did a major backtrack and backed off. Wesley Clark, who once ran for president in 2004, around that same time came out and admitted that he had a memo put on his desk of which nations we would be going to war with, and there were 7 on them. And the next on the list after Iraq and Afghanistan was Syria. Well, it took almost a full decade later for us to go to war with them, and it still hasn't quite happened, but Syria has also been a major focus in recent months. And anyway, what I want you to notice is this Gaddafi's giving this speech, the camera just keeps panning over to al-Assad and showing him. And notice that Gaddafi's talking about how any of the leaders could be the next to be used as buffoons, essentially, as Saddam Hussein was. And the camera just keeps going to al-Assad, whose birthday is September 11th, if you did not know that. Syria's leader's birthday is September 11th. Anyway, let's just watch this speech, learn some new stuff.
لما تكلموا عن حدود 67 يعني هذه حقيقة شيء مذهل جدا جدا. وين القضية اللي قبل 67؟ كنا نكذب على أنفسنا ونكذب على العالم. آلاف الشهداء سقطوا قبل 67 من أجل من؟ كيف تقولون أن فلسطين احتلت عام 67 وعودوا إلى حدود 67؟ هي فلسطين الضفة الغربية وقطاع غزة. زين؟ إذا كانت هكذا هذه ما احتلوها الإسرائيليين عام 48 تركوها لكم 20 سنة. لماذا ما عملتوا فيها دولة فلسطينية؟
That's al-Assad right there, true seeker.
قطاع غزة مش كانت تبع مصر؟ الضفة الغربية مش كانت تبع الأردن؟ ما كانت بيدكم. 20 سنة تاركين لكم اليهود من 48 إلى 67. ليش ما عملتوا فيها دولة إذا كانت هذه هي فلسطين؟ وما هو مبرر الحروب والتضحيات والمقاطعات الاقتصادية اللي قبل 67 ضد الإسرائيليين؟ زين؟ ممكن الإسرائيليين الآن يرفعوا دعوة ضد العرب يطالبوا بالتعويض بالمليارات أكثر من تريليونات عن الخسائر التي لحقتهم ما بين 48 و 67. أنتم العرب اعترفتوا أن القضية بعد 67. بيقولوا لكم لماذا حاربتونا قبل 67؟ أدفعوا لنا التعويضات أيضا. والمقاطعة ما يسمى بمقاطعة إسرائيل والخسائر التي لحقت الاقتصادية التي لحقت بالإسرائيليين وروح العرب يدفعوا الثمن بعد. يرفعوا ضدكم دعوة يكسبوها. يقولوا نحن مظلومين وقلنا لكم نحن حمل وديع في وسط ذئاب من 48 ونحن نقول هذا الكلام. والدليل على ذلك ان العرب انفسهم اعترفوا بهذا. اعترفوا ان فلسطين احتلت عام 67 وهم يطالبوا بالعوده لحدود 67 وتنتهي المشكله ونعترف باسرائيل. ليش ما اعترفتوا بها قبل 67؟
There's al-Assad again.
ما يصدقش العقل. تقولوا 67 وتعترفوا باسرائيل؟ ممكن يتم احتلال جديد في عام 2008 مثلا اسرائيلي لاراضي عربيه وبعد سنين حتطالبوا انتم بالعوده الى حدود 2008 ونعترف باسرائيل. هذا اللي بيحصل. إيه؟ وفقا لهذا اللي بيحصل. المفاوضات جربناها ومشينا فيها بعيدا. كانوا اليهود يقولون اجتمعوا معنا مرة واحدة مفاوضات مباشرة حتى نحل المشكلة. هذه كانوا يقولونها في الخمسينيات والستينيات. كانوا يقولون هذا الكلام. غير اجتمعوا معنا العرب أرجوكم غير اجلسوا معنا على طاولة واحدة بس مرة واحدة حتنتهي المشكلة بيننا وبينكم. وشفتوا شو صار. اجتمعنا معاهم 1000 مرة. من اسطبل داود إلى غاية أنابوليس ولا اسمه جل بتاع أمس. مش هذه المفاوضات مررنا عليها. اسطبل داود أوسلو بتاعت أخونا بومازن طبعا هو يعني بطل أوسلو، والسادات بطل اسطبل داود. ولما كانت الجزائر تقاتل كانت التبرعات علنا من المحيط للخليج تمشي للجزائر والمتطوعين ومن سوريا من هنا الدكتور ابراهيم اخوص ومعاه مجموعه ما بعرف نذكر من هذا الاسم عدوا قاتلوا من اجل التحرير الجزائريه، ولا اعتبروا ارهابيين ولا عملوا لسوريا شيء. لما كان القتال في ليبيا ضد الاحتلال الايطالي، العرب يدعموا في المجاهدين الليبيين من كل مكان. واحنا العرب ما احتلينا حد، طبعا ظلما ان احتلينا الاندلس وطردونا منهم، وبعدها ما احتلينا اي بلد احنا عربيه، احنا اللي بلادنا محتله، فلسطين محتله والعراق محتله. وتقولوا الجزر على ذكر الاحتلالات هذه، تقولوا الجزر هذه ليس من مصلحه العرب ان تكون في عداوه بينه وبين ايران، ولا حتى بينه وبين تركيا ولا كل الامم هذه. مش من مصلحتنا ابدا ان احنا نساعد ايران علينا. اذا كان في مشكل فعلا فعلي نقرر في هذا المؤتمر تحويل القضيه الى محكمه العدل الدولي، وهذا هو المكان المناسب لحل اشكال مثل هذا. قرروا رفع القضيه الجزر الاماراتيه هذه المتنازع عليها الى محكمه العدل الدوليه، واي حكم تصدره المحكمه يجب القبول به. مره تقولوا هذه أروى عربية ومحتلة، ومرة يعني هذه حاجة شيء مش واضح، بلبلة وتستغل. لا شك سكان الخليج 80% منهم إيرانيين، العائلات الحاكمة العربية الأخرى كلها إيرانية، الشعب كله إيراني. يعني ايش هذه ورطة موجودة كيف؟ إيران ما عندكمش منها مفر، يعني قصدي هذا جار ولا أخ مسلم، وهذا اللي هو مش مصلحتنا احنا تكون إيران عدوتنا ونكون احنا عدوها. شو سبب تدمير العراق وغزو العراق وقتل مليون عراقي؟ وخلاص لقانا الامريكان يجاوبونا على السؤال اللي حاير، لماذا العراق؟ شو سبب؟ بن لادن عراقي؟ ما هو عراقي. اللي ضربوا نيويورك عراقيين؟ ما هم عراقيين. اللي ضربوا البنتاغون عراقيين؟ ما هم عراقيين. فيها سلاح دمار شامل عند العراق؟ ما عنده. حتى لو عند العراق سلاح دمار شامل، باكستان عندها قنبله ذريه، والهند عندها قنبله ذريه، والصين وروسيا وبريطانيا وفرنسا وامريكا، ما كل عندهم قنابل ذريه، كل بيدمروها. كويس انه ندمر كل الدول اللي عندها سلاح دمار شامل. تجي قوه اجنبيه تحتل دوله عربيه وتشنق رئيسها، واحنا نتفرج عليهم وضحك. وليش ما نحقوا في شنق صدام حسين؟ كيف يصير حرب يشنق ورئيس دولة عربية عضو في الجامعة العربية؟ لما تكلموا عن سياسة صدام حسين والخلافة معاه السياسة، ممكن كلنا مختلفين سياسيين معاه، مختلفين حتى مع بعضنا نحن الآن، ما في حاجة تجمعنا أبدا إلا القاعة. ليش ما يكون فيها
one more shot of Assad.
في مقتل صدام حسين؟ قيادة عربية بالكامل تقتل تشنق في المشانق عند تفرج، لماذا؟ ما ممكن الدور جاي عليكم كلكم. نعم. ليش امريكا قاتلت مع صدام حسين ضد الخميني؟ كان صديقها. تشيني كان صديق لصدام حسين. رامز سلي كان وزير دفاع الامريكا لما كان يدمروا في العراق، صديق حميم لصدام حسين، واخيرا باعوه وشنقوه. حتى انتم اصدقاء امريكا، نحن اصدقاء امريكا، بلاش نقول انتم، نحن اصدقاء امريكا كلنا قد توافق امريكا على شنقنا في يوم ما. الاخ عمر موسى عنده فكره متحمس له وبرنامج ذكره حتى الان، او ذكره في تقريره، ان العرب من حقهم ان يستخدموا الذره للاغراض السلميه، ويجب يكون برنامج عربي نووي. هذا من حقهم، من حقهم حتى البرنامج النووي غير ذلك، لكن الله غالب. هم العرب اللي تقول لي يعملوا برنامج نووي واحد؟ من هم العرب؟ احنا شو للاسف الشديد احنا اعداء لبعضنا. احنا شو كلنا نكره بعضنا ونتخاصم مع بعضنا ونكيد لبعضنا ونشمت في بعضنا ونتآمر على بعضنا. احنا مخابراتنا نتآمر على بعضنا، ما تحمي فينا من العدو. نحن عدو لبعضنا، وعدو العربي صديق للعربي الاخر. ويا ريت هالشده اللي استخدموا فيها وهالحديه ضد بعضنا استخدموها ضد العدو. نحن نجتمع في سوريا بلد عربي. العلاقه بين سوريا وروسيا ممكن والله ايران والى تركيا افضل 1000 مره من العلاقه بين سوريا وبين جيرانها العرب. العلاقه بين ليبيا وايطاليا افضل 1000 مره من العلاقه بين ليبيا ومصر ولا تونس جيراننا. هذه حاله العرب.
All right, Truth Seeker. If you're not familiar with Muammar Gaddafi, he was the leader of Libya. I think earlier I might have said Lebanon. That was a misspeak. He was the leader of Libya. And I want to show you something about him. He was once blamed for an airplane crash that has some very strange numerology. Oh, shoot. Let me see if I can find it, Truth Seeker. Here we go. So this was a plane crash once upon a time that took place on December 21st, 88. Yours truly was only 5 years old. I think this is the year I caught chickenpox, too. I might have had chickenpox when this is going on. But, yeah, December 21st. Think about that date. 12 plus 21 is 33. The year 88. And look at how many passengers died. 227. Remember the missing flight from Malaysia this past March? Also, this same number of passengers. And it's commonly reported. There's another plane hoax story. It's Flight 227. Why? It's because 22 divided by 7 is 3.14, the number of pi. Pi representing cycles and circles, and they just keep doing the same things to us over and over and over. And anyway, Gadaffi, the person we just watched give that speech, was blamed for this attack once upon a time. And with regards to Gadaffi, you guys, there's also some numbers on this guy. So, in a way, I think he was also part of this New World Order agenda, but I think that speech we just saw had a lot of truth to it. And I think even these people within this New World Order agenda, maybe eventually they get tired and sick and realize they've done the wrong thing. And perhaps that's why he was speaking out and saying that. I mean, you saw people in the audience were laughing and giggling like, oh my goodness, guy. Maybe they were thinking, oh my goodness, I can't believe he's saying this stuff. All knowing better. I mean, look at them, all established March 22nd, right? 322. So, you know, from the United States to the Middle East, all these same people seem to be under the same thumb of the same bosses. And that's what I'm trying to show you. I think that's what that Gadaffi speech was just talking about. Notice he was calling out the Jews. To be more specific, he's talking about the Zionist Jews in Israel. Not all Jews believe in the state of Israel. They are not Zionists. There is a distinction. And here's the face of Yemen's latest president who just resigned. Little piece of history from my own life, Truth Seeker. Once upon a time, when September 11th happened, I was in my second week of college down at Arizona State University. And I had a freshman year, first semester, I had an English class. And in the wake of 9/11, the professor threw out the curriculum and the syllabi we started with, and we formed a new curriculum that was going to be based on studying the Middle East. And we were all assigned countries to do a report on. For the first report, and the country I drew was Yemen. And in my report, I mentioned we had to do a presentation. In the presentation, I made the point that I thought what we were having to do was racist and a little bit ridiculous. And I ended up getting myself in a lot of trouble. Right off the bat, I had to go sign some agreement with the teacher that I'd be respectful, and I forget all what kind of trash was written on there. But essentially, I just got in trouble for speaking out at a public university about how ridiculous I thought it was that we were switching up the whole curriculum because of what happened on September 11th, when we'd already started the class working with something else in mind. So, you know, these are just all the signs of the crazy world we live in. I know other people have to go through stuff like this all the time. I'm just sharing one little thing that happened to me along the way. Alright, until next time, Truth Seeker.